Good morning, Year 6, and welcome back to our home learning for this year. I know obviously we started our new unit in school, but obviously now we are going to be finishing it for some of us at home. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to be thinking about our learning journey question. And we're going to be really making sure we understand our learning journey question so then we can start to do some work on imagery. Okay, so if we look at our learning journey question, I've got it up here on the screen. How can I use imagery to create a picture in the mind of my reader? And what we're going to do is we're just going to go through some words that we might be unfamiliar about. So, if you see my new screen up here, I'm thinking about the question. So, how can I use imagery? In your head, can we think of a definition for imagery? What do you think the word image or imagery means? Then, we're going to have a look at the next part. How can I use imagery to create a picture? What techniques can we use in our writing to create a picture? And I've listed some here. They could be, you can use metaphors, where you could, when you say something is something. You can use similes, where you can compare two things. You can use personification, where we give certain things human qualities. Or we could use onomatopoeia, where words almost sound like they like how you say them. Okay, so we could use all those different techniques. And then the reader. First, and the final bit of the question, how can I use imagery to create a picture in the mind of my reader? So what effects are you going to try to have on the reader? Why are you writing this? And what effects are you going to have for the reader? Take 2 minutes now to have a think about those different sections. Could you think of a definition for imagery? Can you think of some other techniques and devices we will learn to use in our writing? So think of other techniques and devices you can use in your writing. And think about the effect with all this description that we want to have on the reader. Just try that for 2 minutes. Okay, let's have a little think now. Well, here's my definition of imagery. Imagery is language used by poets, novelists, and other writers to create vivid images in the mind of the reader. Imagery includes figurative language to improve the reader's experience through their senses. In other words, imagery assists the reader in imagining the smell, taste, touch, sight, and sound that the author wants them to. So some techniques and devices we can use to help us with this are metaphors, similes, personification, onomatopoeia, and showing, not telling. And we're going to go through what those sorts of words mean later on today. And what is finally the effect you want to have on our reader? Well, we experience life through our senses, so descriptive imagery launches the reader into an experience of what you're writing about. So it could be a warm spring day, could be a scorching hot summer, could be a crisp fall, or it could be a harsh winter. It allows readers to directly emphasize with characters and narrators as they imagine having the same sense experiences. So what we're trying to do is create a vivid image in the reader's mind. So if you're writing for someone, you're trying to create a vivid and descriptive image in their mind so they can almost imagine it themselves. They can just imagine the picture of your character or the look on the face of Gandalf in our new story, or how hot the weather was that day, or how big the castle was. So they're trying to create a really vivid image in their mind. If we're then thinking about imagery, we're going to move on and have a quick look at some different types of imagery, and then we're going to have a go at describing these things ourselves. So, Can we match each sentence with the type of imagery used? But before we do that, I just want us to have a think about different types of imagery. In the middle here, I have a picture. And on this picture, as you can see, it's pretty impressive picture. And I think there's lots we could think about when in regards to this picture. I want us to transform ourselves to this place, to this frozen lake underground. I want us to transform us. And I want you to think about, what can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? What can you touch? What can you taste? And is there any movement going on? So, for example, for me, what can I see? Well, I see a glittering cave with the water slowly bobbing up and down. What can I hear? Well, I hear the drops of water fall onto the water from the top of the cave and echo around the vast space. What can I feel? I feel a cold breeze coming through the gap on my face. What can I touch? I touch the harsh ice as I run my hand along the edge of the caves. What can I taste? Well, I can't taste much, but if I was to drink the water, maybe it would taste very, very healthy, like spring water. And the movement, well, I can see ripples run along the water as the water slowly bobs up and down, as I just said a little bit earlier. So those are all the things that I think about when I see that picture. And that's what imagery is all about. It's about what you can see. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? What can you touch? What can you taste? And can you see any movement? So let's go back to these sentences and try and think about, what are they telling us about? Are they telling us about seeing? Are they telling us about hearing, feeling, touching, tasting, or moving? Okay, let's have a look at this first one. After the long run, he collapsed in the grass with tired and burning muscles. The grass tickled his skin and sweat cooled on his brow. So have a quick think, which imagery are we talking about there? What sense are we talking about? Okay, I'm going to pause the video and have a quick think. Right, we're going through the answer. Yeah, of course, he's talking about touch, isn't he? Because the grass is touching his skin, and it meant it tickled his skin. Okay, the candy melted in her mouth, and swirls of bittersweet chocolate and slightly sweet but salty caramel blended together on her tongue. Okay, what sort of sense is that all about? Let's have a think. Of course, that one would be taste, because we're tasting it in the mouth. Okay, the night was black as ever, but bright stars lit up the sky in beautiful and varied constellations, which were sprinkled across the astronomical landscape. What do you think that one's, what sense could that be? Of course, that is seeing. Seeing the stars lit up in the sky. Okay, what could the second to last one be? Silence was broken by the peal of piano keys as Shannon began practicing her concerto. Oh, which one could be? Which sense do you think that one is? Pause the video and have a quick think. Of course, you would be right. Obviously, you are hearing, so it would be hearing. And then finally, she smelled the scent of sweet hibiscus wasping through the air. Its tropical smell, a reminder that she was on holiday in a beautiful place. Pause the video and have a quick think about that final one. Exactly, that's what she smells. Okay, thinking about all those things, we're now going to make our own. We're going to think about how we can describe using those senses. So those senses, as I've just said, are, you might want to write these down, what you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you can touch, what you can taste, and is there any movement going on, or can you smell anything, or anything happening in the background? Okay, so that we're going to think about describing all those things. So now I'm going to get up a set of pictures. As you can see, all these pictures, picture A, picture B, picture C, picture D, picture E, and picture F are amazing images that we can write some brilliant description for. I want you to pick one of these images. So quickly, go ahead and pick one of these images. Off you go. Can you pick one of these images, okay? Once you've picked one of these images, I then want you to create a page that looks exactly like this one. Obviously, you won't have the picture of your image in the middle, so you could just put the number or the letter of the image that you want. So for example, if you picked image A, you just put image A in the middle. And then I want you to create this table. Once you've done that, for each part, I want you to write a brilliant descriptive sentence using each of the sentences. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? What can you touch? What can you taste? And can you see any movement? And I want you to try and use the best descriptive and adventurous vocabulary you can to try and describe each of the senses. I really look forward to seeing your work, and can you please, once you've finished it, upload it to Class Dojo. I really look forward to what you produce, and I can't wait to see the final, your final pieces of imagery for these pictures. Good luck, and please remember, take your time and really think about that adventurous vocabulary you can use for each of the senses.